Michelle Beyer, your host of Addiction, Voices of Hope, heard here on WNPQ 95, The Light. Addiction, Voices of Hope is presented by this month's sponsor, the Phoenix Recovery and Support Services. If you'd like to be a sponsor, please go to my website and email me. The website is addictionvoicesofhope.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Addiction Voices of Hope. Please welcome my guest today. I'm getting ready to say Steve. Scott Warner. He is a Gold Star dad, which I was just informed you don't ever want to be.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
Good. Good to be here.
Good to be here. We're just getting some little malfunctions going on here with my headphones. I couldn't hear myself talk, and I have to hear myself talk, so it sounds better. So, hi Scott, how are you today?
I'm good.
You look great.
Thank you
It's
very
been a
much.
while since I've seen you.
Yes, you look good too.
Oh, thank you. It's called no sleep. But
Okay.
yeah. There's so much to talk about here, and I'm going to start with talking about why you're a Gold Star father. Talk about your gorgeous son, Heath. I've been seeing some pictures I came across, and I'm like, wow, what a good-looking kid.
Yeah, he was a very handsome young man.
Yeah, he looks like his dad, actually.
Didn't he have a great smile?
He did.
I loved his smile.
Yeah. So tell us about Heath a little bit.
Keith was a great kid. He was unique. He had his own passions. It was kind of funny because I always wondered, like, how did he develop these passions that he had in his life? He loved exotic foods. I'm like just plain middle America kind of guy, you know.
Right.
He loved foreign cultures. He just had all these really varied interests, and I would say as a dad, it was just a real pleasure to be his dad. I mean, I really enjoyed being his dad. He just brought joy to our family, and I think that's why it was so hard when we lost him, because he was just such a huge part of us.
Right.
And then to have that ripped away was just.
And what branch of the service was he in? And tell everyone what a Gold Star father is, just in
Okay.
case they don't know.
Heath was a Marine, so he actually deployed to Iraq on November 11, 2005. So September 11, 2005, or 6, I'm sorry, 2006, he deployed to Iraq, and then he was killed on November 22nd, 2006. So what happens is, a Gold Star father, the Gold Star designation is by the Department of Defense. When you lose a loved one in combat, then you get this designation,
Right.
Gold Star, become a Gold Star family, and so I am now a Gold Star father.
And this has not been easy on your family, correct?
No, actually, war is destructive. It takes lives, and it takes more lives. And so when you lose a loved one, you're traumatized, and your family becomes traumatized. And the process of recovering from that it's still ongoing for us. It's going on 8 years, and we still as a family are trying to find our way forward. I think we've come a long way, but there's still that hole. The way I describe it is if you came up to me and someone just tore my arm off and it never healed, that's how my heart feels.
Wow, that's painful.
Which
is what brings you here on the show.
Right, because pain breaks people and creates brokenness, and that's what happened to me. Is I became a broken person, and my spirit became broken, and that took me down a very dark path of drugs and alcohol and abusing prescription meds and things to cover up the pain, because I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know how to deal with the loneliness. I didn't know how to deal with the hopelessness. And it wasn't like I wasn't searching for it. I was really trying to find help, but I couldn't find the right help.
Okay.
And that is where it became very problematic for me.
Okay. Now, when did your alcohol and your drugs start to take place? How soon after Heath's?
I would say it was really a progression, because the first 6 months, I was really numb from just grief.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say after that first 6 months, then things, when that real crazy pain started kicking in,
Okay.
it started to crescendo from there. And it was probably about 18 months out is when I really started to hit bottom. And people were expecting me to be picking up.
Mm-hmm.
The expectations at my employment was, you know, it's 18 months. You should be functioning and you should be over this. Yeah. And I wasn't going through the stages of grief the way a normal person would go through them. And so I call it craziness. I was in this state of craziness that I didn't even understand. And I was trying to function. I was trying to hold a job. I was trying to be a father. I was trying to be a husband. And I found that I couldn't do it. And so then I started secluding myself and isolating myself.
Right. And
people started avoiding me because they didn't know how to deal with me, and I lost friends, and then the isolation increased more. And then, you know, I started seeking out professional help, and that's when they started just throwing drugs at me, these psychotropic
Right.
drugs, and they just kept escalating the drugs and escalating the drugs and escalating the drugs. And at the same time, I was escalating the alcohol and exacerbating the condition with the drugs, and to the point that I was contemplating suicide. And I remember just, I didn't care anymore. And I remember this one day I just was like, what the hell? And I just took a whole bunch of pills.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't care if I woke up or not. And I just didn't want to feel it anymore. I couldn't.
What were you feeling? What were you thinking that day? Can you bring us back? I know it might be really painful, but can you bring us back to that day, just minutes before? And what did you take and what did you do, and how come you're sitting across from me right now?
I remember I just thought the hole was so dark and the hopelessness was so real that I didn't feel there was any more hope. I didn't want to have another day of going through this again because I couldn't find a way forward. And it's really weird because when you have a handful of pills and you're at that point where you're like, am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? And then in your head, I remember I was just thinking, I just said, what the hell? And I took them, and I didn't care if I woke up or not.
Oh my goodness. And why are you still here? What happened next? I mean, you're sitting here, you're not a figment of my imagination. I don't think you're a spirit here, so.
No, Scott Warner's here.
Yeah, so, you know, how come you're here? What happened next?
I woke up, and then I had a choice to make, and the choice was, do I want to live or do I want to die? And I decided I wanted to live. And
so you just woke up. Were you by yourself?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation because I had been so messed up at this point that Melissa didn't really know.
Melissa's your wife?
Melissa's my wife. She didn't really know what was going on. And in all honesty, I don't think she really cared if I woke up at that point. I know she did.
So it affected your marriage as well?
Yes, and because I really put her through hell. And it was it was a hard situation because and this goes back to the whole mental health stuff that goes around this.
Right.
Because I really needed to be institutionalized. Okay?
Wow.
She was afraid of what that would do to me if I was institutionalized and was in a hospital. And so I think that was hard for her. And so I think she was in this like tug of war of not knowing what to do, and us not having resources to help us realize what to do. But the reality is, I don't know why I woke up, because I really shouldn't have woke up.
What did you take?
I took a handful of clonazepam and Seroquel.
Oh my!
With vodka.
You are lucky. That God has a plan for you.
There was a cocktail of death there.
Yeah, that is absolutely.
And I didn't care. I just didn't want to wake up.
Wow. So when you woke up, you were thinking you had a choice to make, and obviously you chose to live. Thank goodness. But hold on to this, because we have to take a commercial break. Please, if you have a phone call for Scott, please give us a call at 330. I mean, if you have a question, I'm just 492-6881. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Addiction Voices of Hope. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Addiction Voices of Hope. I am your host, Michelle Beyer, heard here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. When we left off, we were talking to Scott Warner, who is a Gold Star dad, and he was taking us to when he had woken up after trying to end his life by taking a handful of very dangerous prescription drugs. And he woke up and he had a choice to make, whether he wanted to live or he wanted to die. Welcome back, Scott. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the journey to recovery is very challenging, and for us, it really kind of came down to my faith came into it. My faith journey is what really brought me out of it. Finding God again, finding hope in God, finding peace. And we have this place in Canada, Santa Clara Monastery on 44th Street, and it has this chapel, and I started going to this chapel every day. And I would just go in there and sit, and I would pray. And this wonderful community of believers that I didn't know surrounded me. And I think they're what saved me, because they started reaching out to me and sharing love and being that shoulder that I needed without judging. And that's when I think God really started coming into my life. And then through series of circumstances, bringing the right people, I had to change professionals. I realized that the psychiatrist I was with had me on a very bad course of treatment, and had really created a situation where I was now dependent on prescription meds.
Right.
And so I needed to find a professional that could help me deal with my situation and take me through a process of not being dependent on prescription meds. And so that was part of the change that occurred after I woke up. I'm not going to tell you it was an easy course to move. I mean, when I say I woke up and I made the decision to live, I was still in a challenging, dark place, but I was like committed that I wanted to live for the living and not live for the dead, because I was living for the dead. I was living.
You hear that so
for
often.
My dead son, you know.
And you wrote a book.
I did.
What's the name of your book?
Gold Star Father, Honoring a Hero, Remembering a Son. And basically, I invite you on a journey of what I went through and what my family went through. So basically what I'm sharing with you is in my book. I am very transparent in the book. My first draft of the book, I gave it to some folks, and they said, "You're holding back," and we can tell you're holding back. So if we can tell you're holding back, the people that are going to read it are going to say you're holding back. So I took this deep breath, and I decided I was going to just say it like it was, and not candy coat it, and just say, this is what happened to me, this is what I did to my family, this is how it impacted my family, this is what my family went through, and this is how I found hope, and this is how we have found a path forward. And so the book, I invite you into a journey. And most of the people that read it find themselves drawn into it, and they don't want to put it down. And they usually need Kleenex when they're reading it.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. And you have something that you want to read, a little paragraph from the book?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the years of, throughout the years of our acceptance and recovering from paralyzing grief, I didn't realize how much time and energy I spent defending Heath's death. Everywhere I went, people commented soldiers were dying in vain, and my emotional energy was depleted simply because I was constantly defending my son who died. And it wasn't until bin Laden's death that I ever found any relief from that. My depression increased, and my situation at work was abysmal. I felt so helpless, and my downward spiral amplified my wanting to abuse alcohol and prescription meds. Thoughts of suicide tangled in my brain, and I thought about how good it would feel to feel nothing. No grief, no pain. Of course, I really didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to wake up either. I just wanted to sleep my life away. And that's when I took a handful of pills, and I looked at them and I thought, what the hell? They felt sticky and dry in my mouth as I washed them down. I wasn't sure if I would wake up, and I didn't care either.
And that tells you a story. I mean, I could visualize everything that you had just said, and yeah, people just don't understand. I mean, addiction isn't something where maybe you don't have the addictive personality, just say, but you're masking. You're masking feelings because you don't want to feel. And that is also another part of the addiction of drugs, alcohol, whatever pain pills that you want to take. And you were trying to mask all these feelings that no one was helping you with. I mean, did you lose a lot of friends because of that as well? I know you said earlier because of the way you were behaving, they didn't know how to handle you, but right off the bat, people didn't know what to say to you after you lost your son. Is that correct?
Exactly. You know, at first you're very graceful. You have a tolerance, and you know, when people would say, well, you still have 2 other sons, you know, and
Really?
oh yeah.
Oh, so that should make up for it.
And then my favorite one was, well, God really wanted them in heaven, and well, we really wanted them here. And the ones where you should be happy. Why are you still sad after 6 months? You know,
Wow.
People expected us to be over our grief in 6 months, and it was just starting. We were still numb. I mean, military deaths have their own uniqueness, and you're in memorials. I mean, we were flying to Hawaii for memorials. I mean, 6 months after his death, because that's where he was stationed. And to this day, you know, we still are, you know, there's memorials, there's things that we do. We're always going to have that part of our life. And one of the things that I wrote was enduring wars, because that's what they call these wars now, they're enduring wars. And enduring wars create enduring pain. Our pain never goes away. And because the wars continue forward, your pain is, you're always there with that.
Wow. Well, when we come back, I'd like to know if there's a lot of military families that are going through this and suffer with addiction to mask problems. If you have a call, if you'd like to call us and have a question for Scott, please give us a call at 330-492-6881. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Addiction Voices of Hope. We'll be right back after these few messages. To Addiction Voices of Hope. I am your host, Michelle Beyer, here on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. When we left, we were talking with Scott, a Gold Star dad, who was taking us through his addiction. And when we left, we wanted to talk about other military families and what they all going through this type, or most of them, or what is going on?
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to come on the show was because of the fact that our returning veterans, their families, and surviving military families who have been traumatized through the wars, this is happening across the country. And there's an abuse of prescription meds. They are being prescribed meds just hand over hand because they don't know how to deal with PTSD. And that's really what it comes down to.
PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
Most of us have a form of post-traumatic stress disorder because we were traumatized from the war. The vets have theirs, we have ours. The family members who are taking care of the returning vets who are have been harmed and need full care now. It's so overwhelming that this is what's happening, and so this dependency on prescription meds is just crazy, and people, there has to be other solutions to this than just doctors just writing these scripts for prescription meds and giving you more and more and more and more, and before you know it, you're addicted to prescription meds and you don't even know it.
Right. And that happens all the time, and you hear it every day. You're hearing it more and more. We're trying to get the doctors on the plan of, because there's a lot of people that will go from doctor to doctor to doctor to get what they want, and they make this vicious circle all the way around, and we're trying to get the doctors on board here, but then that also will lead to the heroin usage as well. And did you ever think about going in that type of direction with any kind of a harsh drug?
No, I had never gone there. Actually, I never really even thought about it. The things I had at hand were the prescription meds and alcohol, and so those were my.
Were you drinking every day? Was it a lot?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I did the smile. Yeah, it was a lot. Now you don't drink today?
Socially, occasionally, but I really have to watch what I do.
And that's where I say addictive personality comes into play. You can get addicted to something and not have that disorder. And because for someone like me, I can't ever touch a glass, a sip of alcohol ever, or I'll be right back where I was when I left. Where you just said you can do it socially, you monitor yourself. You know, yours was through pain. You were masking your pain and got addicted through that.
Yes.
And that's what we need to understand. There are two different types of users out there, and you just happen to be the one that, you know, got addicted to the drugs because they were being overly prescribed to you, carelessly prescribed to you, and the alcohol, but you can take things in moderation. You know, an addict doesn't have moderation. So tell us, you know, just...
Well, I think that the thing is I keep coming back to broken people. Okay, everyone's broken, and I believe everyone has something that's broken with them, and we all find something to find comfort with that brokenness. And so for me, that's what I was using, and I still am broken, but I'm in a better place. I found professionals that could help me. I found accountability. I found 12-step that helped. There were tools that I found along the way that helped me find my way forward. And so it's still challenging. I'm not going to tell you that I have found. I'm still moving forward in my healing. And my hope is that I can help other people, if they're in this situation, realize that they're not alone and that it's okay to be broken.
How can someone get in touch with you or buy your book?
You can go to Amazon and order my book, or you can go to www.goldstarfather.com and order my book. It's at St. Raphael's locally and
Nice.
Lifeway.
Okay. Well, Scott, we are at the end of our show, and it has been a pleasure speaking with you because there's a lot that I did not know. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
That is all the time that we have for today. Addiction does affect not only the addict, but it affects all the family, all the children involved in that. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, please visit my website, addictionvoicesofhope.com. If you're struggling and need help, please also go to my website. You can find every resource that you need to get the help, whether it's a therapist or an in-house, outhouse rehab. Again, my name is Michelle Beyer. You've been listening to Addiction, Voices of Hope. I am your host on WNPQ 95.9 The Light. Thank you. Have a great day, Scott.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say have a great day to everyone out there. I'll see you next week. And love yourself first. You may just save a life if you decide to smile at someone on the street today. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you.